This amount, $0.6 billion, or $600 million, were classified as unrestricted net assets, while $3.5 billion were restricted for specific uses. So let me back up and clarify two things here. One is there's $600 million unrestricted, and there's $3.5 billion which restricted. What's the restriction? What's the legal restriction? Is it constitution? That's a vote of the voters to change it. If it's statutory, that's the legislature. We can change it, and we do things like that all the time. Or is it internally restricted? The agency has designated. We have a problem with the way things are termed. Good news, Government Accounting Standards Board just came out with Statement 54 in March that says all states, because we're not the only ones playing this game with terminology, all states must now itemize these ending fund balances with a little bit more description as to what they can and can't be used for. So, clarification there. I stand by what I said. I don't care what the Secretary of State says. She's wrong. You talked about a $2 billion cut to the budget. Well, first of all, it was $2 billion on a 14% increase in the general fund. 14%. So they cut $2 billion, brought it down so that the state government's only growing 9.3. So that got to clarify some of these things. Wages, no pay increases. Wrong. I'm sorry, you've said this before. I've got an email here from Darren Hill from Department of Administrative Services, November 9th. November 9th. He says in here, and this is after session, here's the roll-up costs. Here are the pay increases, $248 million. We've got non-management, 218, managers, 19 million, an additional step up of about 11. The additional step up doesn't take effect until September of 2010. But they did get, and I'm sorry, I got an email here. I also have an email from Marjorie Taylor of the Department of Administrative Services, whereby she says, subsequent to the session, that the average state employee has a compensation package, even with their 10 furlough days at a cost of about $1,300 to them. Even with that reduction, they have an increase in their compensation package on average of $897. So, I don't know where you're getting your information that there were no pay increases, but those that are in charge of the Department of Administrative Services are telling me, yeah, they did. There was a million other questions answered, but I'll just wait to let you all ask questions. He jumped right up there.
I want to make sure I get this answered. It says in this little pamphlet here that your taxes won't change if you vote yes, if you make below $250,000 a year. It also says a yes vote, 97.5% of taxpayers won't pay any more taxes. How do you explain, or how is it not a tax increase to everybody in this room if corporations raise their prices to cover their costs?
Well, good point. What they say is your taxes won't increase.
Right.
But everybody in this room is going to be affected by these increases. Maybe not on their tax return.
How is that not a tax increase on everybody?
Well, it's going to cost us more to do business. It's going to cost us more to buy gas. It's going to cost us more to buy groceries. That's not a tax under the definition of tax. The other misleading thing is they say 250 household income. It's $125,000 per person. There is no household income in the code. So, but it polls well. It polls really pretty well. So it's $125,000 taxable income. You're going to pay more, but that's going to get passed on. 72% of the people that are going to pay this increase in individual taxes are small and family-owned businesses, S corporations, partnerships, the like. They're going to pass on those tax increases. So, misleading. Is it totally incorrect? Maybe not, because they're saying 97% won't pay increase in taxes. You'll pay increase, you'll have less money in your pocket because you're going to be paying more for products and services. But it's probably correct in that sense.
I didn't prepare that, I just, Brian gave it out. But let me say this, it's joint filing. We pay 9% taxes on joint filing, whether you make $15,400 a year as a joint filer or $250,000 a year as a joint filer. Senator Telfer's correct, if you're a single filer and it's $125,000, that's a cutoff. It's $250 for joint filers. And what you have to pay attention to as well is that the increase in tax is only on that amount over that $250 or over the $125. That's so you go from 9 to 10.8. That's 1.8% more taxes on that amount that you earn over the 250 or the cutoff time. You know, it's going to be a very small amount. Corporations, the C corporations, pay 1/10 of 1 cent on the taxes that they have to pay on the gross revenue over the guidelines that are set out there. 1/10 of 1%. And most of these large corporations, as you pointed out, they're going to pass it on to the consumer. You're right. Most of these large corporations that are going to be affected by this are out-of-state corporations, and that they will pass that on to all of their consumers across the nation, not just Oregonians. So 1/10 of 1% is up to a maximum of $100,000 or $100 million, I guess is what their gross revenues would be. They could do $500 million in gross revenues, and they still have that maximum minimum tax of $100,000. As Mr. Price pointed out, there's some other taxes that they have to pay because of profits and that sort of stuff. But many of those corporations have not been paying those taxes in Oregon. So I really, you know, while it might be passed on to the consumer at such a small amount that they can make it up so many different ways, we're not going to see it.
But isn't that misleading to consumers in this state who are led to believe that they're not paying this tax? I mean, you can call it what you want, but still people are going to pay